Star Wars has had a few extragalactic invader storylines. The most famous is probably the Yuuzhan Vong with their 19-book story arc, but today we're going to be talking about a different faction that helped set the stage for invading the Star Wars galaxy, and they did it with really weird ships. That's right, it's time to talk Tof. The Tof Kingdom was the dominant power of one of the companion galaxies to the Star Wars galaxy, Fire Fist, also known as Companion Besh. The Tof are described by the Unknown Regions sourcebook, which includes content on Companion Besh, calling it part of the, quote, peripheral halo section of the Unknown Regions, somewhat broader definition than we usually see, as being green-skinned but otherwise visually almost identical to humans, typically being bearded and engaging in a patriarchal warrior culture. The Tof had little interaction with the known galaxy, and in Fire Fist they were very aggressive towards the others around them, conquering the planets of the cyborg Macabre, Faroon shipwrights, and most notably, the Nagai. Once conquered by the Tof, the Nagai themselves went to the galaxy far, far away, known to them as the Sky River, and were pursued by the Tof, resulting in battles and small skirmishes between combinations of Rebel, Imperial, Nagai, and Tof forces from as far south as the planet Saijo, to as far north as Kashyyyk and Zeltros in the Mid-Rim. The main thing people know about the Tof, though, is the designs of their ships. They have, in my opinion, one of the weirdest ship aesthetics we see in Star Wars. The Marvel comics of the mid-80s had a lot of wacky designs, some of which people love and some people are less fond of. But while the Tof's enemies, the Nagai, have some pretty interesting ships themselves, the Tof ships take the cake in my opinion. They're giant space pirate ships. The Tof are pretty much modeled as space pirates. Their culture is built around a much earlier period where they were seafaring raiders on their home planet, Tof, and they pretty much are built around modern-day pirate tropes, being portrayed as jovial but incredibly violent, drink-loving brigands who apparently do a lot of wenching, I guess. The invasion of the galaxy was led by the Tof Prince Sereno, and the flagship of the invasion, the Merryweather, was an 1,800-meter-long Durasteel pirate ship in space. That actually makes it 200 meters longer than a standard Star Destroyer for the record. The Tof were defeated at the Battle of Saijo, and the Merryweather, along with the rest of the fleet, were either destroyed, captured, or forced back to their home territory in Fire Fist. Now, some of the other early enemies of the Rebel Alliance from this period, like the Siruvi, actually do get mentioned as being perennial enemies for the Rebel Alliance, even though the Siruvi we really only see directly in Truce at Bakura and then much later on in Force Heretic. We do get some mentions of them kind of in the background, and I think it would have been cool if we had seen a bit more of that with the Tof. There are some of these source books that kind of mention it, but we don't really get any more stories with them. A lot of the Marvel comic era stuff tends to get left to the sidelines when later Del Rey and Bantam books start doing their own stories in the period. And I do think that's a bit unfortunate. It would have been nice to see how some of these other later sources might have approached them. Now, the Merryweather was not actually the last time we'd see a ship like this, though. In the Darth Bane trilogy, we read about Jedi Master Valentine Farfalla, a half-human, half-Bothan I covered in what has turned out to be, regrettably, my most watched video across both of my channels. His ship, the Fairwind, gets a full depiction later on in the Jedi vs. Sith comics, and it's the same kind of idea, only it's explicitly made out of wood from Kashyyyk's Rosher trees, so clearly Marvel's comics had a bit of an influence going forward. This is actually probably the more pirate ship looking one of the two. So while I do think there was a bit of room to maneuver with the Merryweather's design if they were going to do an updated version of it to kind of keep the similarities to a kind of older sailing ship, but making it a bit more spaceship Star Wars-y, Fairwind is a bit more explicit in the this is a giant wooden galleon in space. But either way, that's going to do it for today's video. Hope you've enjoyed it. If so, consider leaving a like or subscribing for more, and if you're interested in this topic, maybe I'll be able to do a bigger breakdown of the Nagai Tof War. I did previously do a version of it that's kind of more focused on the Nagai side of things, but either way, let me know what you think. Thanks for watching, hope to see you next time.